time to be here tonight for this very important candidates night for our school and town offices. Thank you also for understanding our need to pivot over here to the BRC for this year's event. Unfortunately, the library is in a bit of disarray with our construction project, and we did feel it was the safest bet to have you trying to get in and out of the restricted spaces over there. So thankfully, Andy Gray here at the BRC offered to let us use this space. I would also like to thank Liz McConnell and Melissa Berlin for coming over today and helping us set up. They're two of our library trustees. I'd like to thank Daphne Moss, Andy Gray, Lieutenant Jody, and Dick Chamberlain for making time yesterday for some last-minute planning on this event. I want to thank my staff for managing things at the library while I've been running around trying to get ready for this program. And I'd like to thank Josh Berlin of the Communication Committee for assisting with the recording and sound, which actually has pivoted to Andy Artimovich, who brought the town camera here so that we'll have a really good recording. That will be available on the town website and on the library website. Finally, I'd like to say a very special thank you to Mr. Dick Chamberlain for his many, many years of service to the town. I've been honored. I've been honored and pleased to work with Dick on many candidate nights since I began working at the library about 6 years ago. Dick is diligent, he is thoughtful and caring, and he puts 100% of himself into the work he does for the town, and I can't say enough about how thankful I am for his efforts. I would also like to thank all of the candidates for taking the time to be here tonight to give us a better understanding of what the reasons are for why they are wanting to help our community. So at this time, I would like to turn over the mic to our esteemed town manager, town moderator. I thought I was going to get all the way through without a mistake. Our esteemed town moderator, Dick Chamberlain.
Geez, I just got a new position, but it only lasted for about a quarter of a minute. Well, this candidates night has always been a fun time and a place where we get a lot of knowledge and a place where the candidates concisely have some good stuff to share with us. And you as an audience have pretty good questions to ask. And there are people who have said that in the town of Brentwood, this evening may be the best form of democracy in action going on. And it's great that way. A few notes, and then I'm going to turn it over to the candidates, of which there are about 21. For town and for school. There weren't any from Brentwood this year for the co-op school, so we're all town and school. Let me see. Well, I got to tell you that the bathrooms are up there, the exits are there. Where else? And downstairs and out. Kind of. Please turn off your cell phones. And when you're leaving, our police, Justin and Chris, are here to help out. Just be careful. It's supposed to start snowing at 7 o'clock. It's dangerous always on 125. So just be careful as you leave. Oh, one other thing as you leave. If each person sitting in a chair when you leave would take that chair and put it over there, then those that spent 2 or 3 days setting them up won't have to unset them. Tonight's schedule, 6:15 I've got. Well, that's not bad. We're 5 minutes ahead. From 6:15 until 7:45, each of the candidates, in the order of the schedule that you've got there, will be speaking about the particular position that they hope to win and to do a good job in. That's from 6:15 to 7:45. Then from 7:45 until 8:30, it's an opportunity for you to ask questions, back and forth. And then at 8:30, you can leave. And you don't have to feel bad about it if you leave, because not everybody's going to leave, as has happened in many, many past years. Because that's when the candidates and you can talk one-on-one or in small groups until 9 o'clock. And then we are out of here. We are out of here at 9 o'clock, and we're not going to be still here at 9:01. We're out at that time. Okay, so that's the time schedule for the night. What else? The ground rules. The first ground rule is civility. It may be hard sometimes, but we got to be civil with each other. And just good common sense in how we operate with each other. Speaking what we've got to say and listening as hard as we can to what other people are saying. Another thing would be that I really hope that the candidates can hold to 3 to 4 minutes, because I really want all of you to have an opportunity to have enough time to ask them questions. We're getting near the end here. Each of the candidates will follow the list that you've got there, with Melissa starting first. They'll introduce themselves. I'm not going to introduce them. They'll introduce themselves. And then they'll tell us how, if elected, they'll play out the office that they hope to hold. Jim, would you say what you're going to be doing?
Sure. As you're speaking,
Why don't you stand up so they can hear you?
Jim Hager, I'm helping be the official timer again like last year. So the candidates, when you're up there speaking, we'd like to have it wrapped up in 3 minutes. So I'll kind of, 4 minutes, I'll put up a 3-minute warning sign, and then you'll see you can go on, and then I'll have a 4-minute stop. So we just like to ask that if we reach that 4-minute point, please stop. I didn't bring an air horn or anything like that.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Okay, before we start, any questions from the audience? Yes?
I don't know which positions we're voting more than one person, but when we get to those positions, can we say, like, you know, you're picking 2 people from planning board or something like that?
Well, that's a good question, and obviously you can't tell from this
Right.
sheet that you've got. And we should have gotten a little bit more on top of that. The best I can do is to ask those that are speaking to make some comment about the fact that they're the only one running for the office, such as Melissa is, or that they know that there's a couple of other. We have tried to group them.
Yeah.
But you're right, we don't know for sure. Any other comment? Well, then I turn it over to you, Melissa.
Thank you. Good evening, my name is Melissa Hanlon, and I'm asking for your vote for town moderator. A little bit about myself. I moved to Brentwood in 2012 with my husband, Dan, who's a 5th grade teacher in Exeter, and my 2 daughters. One of whom is a junior at Exeter High School, and one of whom is a freshman. I'm a lawyer. I work at a law firm called Sullivan & Hollis in Concord, New Hampshire, practicing healthcare law, and I've been there for 21 years. I've served on the budget committee in Brentwood, I believe 3 times, elected twice, appointed as a replacement for someone who left the committee for my 3rd time. And for the past 18 months or so, I've been working with Dick to help with the elections and help with town meeting. Obviously, enormous shoes to fill to follow Dick in this role. But I've very much enjoyed his mentorship over the last 18 months. I've learned a lot, and I'm very committed to continuing the stewardship that he has had for having a really fair and efficient town meeting and having fair and efficient elections. So I'm happy to answer any questions later on. I recognize some faces. For those of you who don't know me already, thank you for listening. Who wants to follow that? My name is Daphne Waz, and I have had the pleasure of being your town clerk tax collector for the last 6 years. Although I'm running unopposed, I would be honored to have your vote. I know I do see all of you at least once a year, so I'm sure you recognize me. I'm very proud to live in Brentwood, and I look forward to continuing to work with and in our community. Thank you. I'm running for select board, and just in answer to your question, there are 3 people running for 2 seats, and 1 out of 3. My name is Letty Bedard, and I'm running for the Brentwood Select Board. I am just finishing my 3rd year on the Brentwood School Board, the last 2 years in the Budget Committee, 2 years on the Communications Committee, and the last year on the Municipal Complex Committee. Serving on these boards and committees, combined with my analytical skills in deciphering numbers and improving processes, uniquely positions me to contribute to Brentwood on the Select Board. I will work to ensure that our town continues to be a place we are all proud to call home. I look forward to the opportunity to meet with you, discuss your concerns, and collaboratively shape the future.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. My name is Doug Finette, and I'm running for a position on the Select Board, 2 out of the 3. I grew up in New Hampshire, and except for a brief period of time during my military service, I've resided in New Hampshire. Sally and I moved into Brentwood over 28 years ago. Our children attended Swayze and graduated Exeter High School. In my career, I've been self-employed, running all aspects of my business. After, as a manager, supervisor, and district manager for several multi-million-dollar companies, I was responsible for budgets, payrolls, personnel, and operations. At this time, I work in a small family business dealing with all challenges that it brings in this economy. Over the years, the town has experienced a lot of growth. I want to continue the small town character that Brentwood is known for, and I have worked towards that goal while currently serving on the Planning Board, Rockingham Planning Commission, and the Economic Development Committee. My votes are based on the most informed decision possible, and much of that comes from my fellow residents. I want to be available to all residents in this way. If I'm graciously voted into the spot of Select Board, I feel I can bring a balanced, thoughtful perspective to the board. My vote will be a vote for you, the residents. Also, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone I have had the pleasure to work with. I appreciate your time, your insight, your experience, your knowledge. It's been very helpful. Thank you.
So we spend a lot of time together, all of us. It's nice to see you all again. I'm John Morgan. I'm running for re-election to Brentwood's Select Board. 3 years ago, when I decided to put my hat in the ring for this position, I kind of set out on this mission because I had this vision of how awesome Brentwood is and really how much better we could even make it. We put a little elbow grease into it. Since then, we have moved from relying on outside towns when we call 911 for fire and ambulances to show up to now having our own 24-hour coverage right here in town. That's a huge deal. Instead of calling 911 when you have a true emergency and waiting 30 to 45 minutes for someone to show up at your door, they'll be right there in 10 to 15 minutes. This is life-saving measures that we've been able to make in the last 3 years. We're moving toward having double coverage 24 hours a day with our police department. So in the last 3 years, we've created Communications Committee, Economic Development Committee, and several others. We're making a lot of progress, and my mission right now continues to be focused on economic development here in the 125 corridor, which stays true to our rural character. I'm really focused on making sure that that becomes more of a reality in the next 3 years, and hoping to earn your vote for re-election. Thank you so much.
Morgan. I'm running for seat on the Budget Committee. I am presently in that seat. 2 open seats, 2 people are running, which is not really fun. So this is the part that I dread. So I have over 2 decades of experience in corporate finance and accounting. And during my career, as you can imagine, I worked with budgets, general accounting, you name it. Municipalities is something somewhat new, so I'm learning a lot with regards to rules that are applicable and sometimes that don't work in the corporate world the same as for municipalities. For example, we don't, as a budget committee, we don't always see the revenue side of things, right? Which would be very interesting and helpful, because when we as taxpayers get our tax reports, right, that reflects both. It's a map of revenues and costs, and not just that huge increase that we discussed during the budget meetings. So working on getting all that kind of put together. And also, I've been kind of trying to help. The whole idea was to help. I wasn't really looking at the beginning to be a member of any committee, but I'm glad I am, because it's a great learning experience. And with working with departments, I always try to just offer my help with regards to worksheets, if anybody needs, Excel, something, I don't know. So, and now I'm getting nervous and I can't talk anymore. So I hope to continue to do the same, and seeing how our town is growing. And obviously, our family moved here only 5 years ago, and there are many new families, which I can understand how for some long-time residents that might be overwhelming, but at the same time, we appreciate the town that you've created, and we really love it, and hope to contribute to it and not take away from it. And anytime that there is growth and changes, it is difficult, and it's a delicate balance, and we need to understand that while we are supporting our services, and we as a town need to support our services, we also need to work towards creating more programs for those that are affected by those changes the most. So all of those things are a balancing act, and more than ever, we have to work together as a community to ensure that we succeed in both.
Hi everyone. So I'm the other person running for one of the 2 open seats on Budget Committee. I'm Kat Niemirowski. I think I'm on your list as Catherine. I don't know how I'll be on the ballot, but hope to get your vote either way. And so a little bit about myself and my background. I've been doing accounting for about 10 years. For the first 7, I was working for my family's small business. And I was wearing a lot of different hats. So I was handling everything from like HR to all of our finances. And for me, that's when I fell in love with accounting. So when I stepped away from the family business and we moved to New Hampshire, it was a natural next step to continue to focus on accounting. So I spent my first year in New Hampshire working in a CPA firm, which gave me the opportunity to work with a lot of different types of businesses. And then for the last 2 years, I've worked as a staff accountant in the hospitality industry. So I'm very comfortable collaborating with others on the budget process. I like looking into prior years, seeing where expenses struggle to keep pace with the expected budget, and areas where we could have cut back without impacting the services provided. So like I said, I am kind of a recent resident of Brentwood. My husband and I moved here 3 years ago, and I am absolutely thrilled with how quickly this town has felt like home to me, especially moving in the middle of the pandemic, which was weird. So I wanted to run for the Budget Committee because it's important to me to properly fund the services and amenities that attracted families like mine to Brentwood. And so I recognize that we all pay taxes, and I want to ensure that our taxpayer dollars are being handled responsibly. also feel that it's critical to not only meet the town's current needs, but also anticipate what its future needs will be and invest in projects like the amphitheater, which I'm sure will become a staple of the community for years to come. And so, as you may or may not have noticed, my husband and I are preparing to welcome our daughter into the world this spring. So I feel that it is the perfect time for me to increase my civic engagement and use my skill set to help keep Brentwood on a successful path moving forward, so that she will be proud to call this her hometown in the future. If elected to the Budget Committee, I will strive to prepare fiscally responsible budgets that prioritize the needs of our community. And so with that, I ask for your vote on March 12th.
The next person to speak is Linda McDonald. Linda is the one person who wrote to me telling me that she could not be here tonight. Linda is also the one person that wrote a lovely paragraph for me to read, which, folks, I left at home. I blew it on that one. Linda has been very active in the town in the checklist. Linda has been very active as a part-time staff person at the nursing home. And I'm now going to really surprise her by asking Daphne if she would say a little bit more about Linda's responsibilities.
Let's see, her responsibilities are, well, there's lots of them. Registering people to vote, ensuring the checklist is accurate, entering the information after the election with people's party changes. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Next person is.
Bob Montefiore. Gotta commend Dick, he's done 45 years, I think?
Yeah.
45 years as moderator. I've been in town for 23, 24 years. I've done budget committee, I did 9 years on that, I did 9 years on select board. I'd like to have your vote, or I hope you can support me and vote for me for the supervisor checklist. I've helped out Daphne, I helped out Phyllis, and the supervisor checklist whenever I was on the select board, and I was at the polls. I tried working the polls and helping people and helping out the supervisor's checklist, registering people, checking people in, and getting people where they need to go. I'm a big believer in term limits, so I term limited myself out from the select board, so I'm hoping I can still continue to serve, and if I can have your vote, greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Kristen Aldred. I'm running for planning board, and there are 3 of us running for 2 seats. I moved to Brentwood several years ago. Both my kids graduated from Exeter High School. I thought I'd tell you a little bit about my background and a little bit about the planning board. I chose to move to Brentwood for outdoor recreation, proximity to a job at the time, proximity to friends, and for the school system. I've been on the planning board for 3 years, 2 of those as chair. A lot of my opinions and knowledge about land use and being able to choose the place that you want to live come from where I grew up and having lived in a lot of different places. I had a very apple pie, motherhood, Chevrolet kind of upbringing. I literally grew up next to an apple orchard in upstate New York in a small village with 1 stoplight. It's the home of the world's largest apple pie. I worked for the town in the rec center and at the library. And then I've lived in Oregon, in Montana, in Colorado, and Maine, and I used to live in the Upper Valley of New Hampshire. My professional experience includes forest policy, environmental policy work, public engagement around land use issues, and economic impact studies around recreation and natural resource industries, and environmental psychology, which is about how we interact with our environment and how it impacts us. I like to think there are three things that make me a decent board member. The first is that I understand policy and I'm willing to learn and always learning. The second is that I have experience facilitating, and I put a really high value on a good process. I want people to know that they can come and share their input and that that will have some influence on our decisions. And then the third thing is that I really care about the community and I care about the people here. I really understand people's desire to want to keep Brentwood the same. I also understand we're under tremendous pressure. We live in one of the most expensive regions of the country, and it can't possibly buy all the land, although I do want to acknowledge, I really appreciate all the work that's been done in the past to preserve a lot of land in this community and protect our water and other resources. Just real quick, I am concerned about my own ability to stay in this community long term. As things get more expensive, there are very few options to downsize. And my kids love it here. This is their home now, and they'd like to stay. And the way things are right now, I see very little chance of them ever being able to do that. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who shares those two concerns. So to me, the question isn't really, is Brentwood going to change, but how is it going to change? What control are we going to have over that? And I think that the best ideas will come if people are engaged and working together. And we don't have the answers, but the board has been working really hard on this. We have a grant to work on housing issues. And if given the chance, I'd really love to continue working on the board.
Hi, my name is Mark Kennedy, and I'm running for one of the planning board seats. It has been a pleasure and an honor to have been a Brentwood resident for the past 49 years. I consider myself fortunate to have lived what many would call an idyllic life childhood, filled with White Rock soda from the bingo hall, packed 192 Pinewood derbies, and dirt bike trails as far as the eye can see. Brentwood has changed, and I would say mostly for the better. With any change, growing pains are expected, but with proper planning, some discomfort can be mitigated. It has also been a great pleasure to have served on the Brentwood Planning Board for the past 11 years. First as an alternate in 2012, 2 3-year terms, then a mix of alternate positions and 2 appointed positions to fill vacant seats. I have an extensive experience and knowledge of Brentwood zoning regulations, the legalities involved in their implementation, and the mindset to listen to residents and experts. My attendance record to meetings as well as sidewalks has been exemplary. Attendance and or participation are what I consider qualities any candidate should have. My door's always been open to talk with residents regarding planning board matters. I have had many great and productive conversations over the years. Please keep in mind, you, the voters, approved the zoning ordinances that applicants use to move their projects forward. I will only be the moderator of those ordinances. If you have any questions on zoning amendments, feel free to reach out to me or the planning board office for clarification. If you could please take the Brentwood Housing Survey, it can be found under the Town Projects tab on the new website. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, yes. Folks, I am saved. Janice has found what Linda wrote. Yeah, now I'll ask you to read it. I'm not going to touch it.
It's actually Liz happened.
Do you want to let Doug go first, because he's the
Yes,
last
let's do that.
planning board? Maybe that's better.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. My name is Doug Marino, and I'm really honored and excited to be here. I'm running for one of the seats on the planning board. I recognize that for a lot of folks here, I'm kind of a new face, so I wanted to share a little bit about who I am, my background, and why I'm in this race. So I attended Exeter High School and graduated in 2014. And then after that attended the University of New Hampshire, where I studied political science and graduated in 2014. After graduating, I worked in several jobs related to politics and public service, including as a legislator at the State House for John Morgan, when he was a state senator.
He was great.
Also had the chance to work for Senator Tom Sherman and Senator Martha Fuller Clark and Senator Hassan. And about a year ago, I decided to make some changes in my life. I began to seek treatment for depression. My battle with depression has been one of the toughest fights of my life, but it also taught me a lot about who I am and what I want to do and what's really important to me. And I came to understand that what I want most in life is to serve people and to serve this community that's given so much to me. I decided to go back to school. I'm now at UNH at the Carsey School of Public Policy, getting my master's degree in public policy. I'm eager to get more involved in the town in whatever capacity I can, because I believe I can make a difference. I want to help bring people together. We're all on the same team, and we want the same things. I respect the views of others, and the things that unite us are so much bigger than whatever differences we may have. I'll be a collaborative voice. I know that there's a lot that I need to learn, so I look forward to working with others and lean on that institutional knowledge, while at the same time bringing a fresh face to town government. Some of my priorities, I really want to help Brentwood, improve Brentwood's economy by supporting smart business development along in places like 125 to help grow our economy, while also still maintaining the town's rural character and protecting our natural resources. I want to help citizens who want to learn more about the planning board or navigating the process. And I also want to bring a new level of transparency to town government. I think that there are a lot of good things, especially the Town Master Plan survey from 2022, as well as the ongoing housing survey that Mark talked about. A lot of great opportunities for residents to offer their input. And I just kind of want to expand those efforts. If I do have the opportunity to serve, my commitment to you is that I'll hold regular office hours, virtual and in person, as well as meetings by appointment. You can always come talk to me, even if you're angry at me, you can yell at me, I can take it. It's all good. I really, would love, whether I'm successful in this or not, I really want to continue to get more involved and serve this town. I really appreciate you all being here tonight for the opportunity to speak, and I'm always happy to answer questions. Thank you so much.
Good evening. I'm good. Lois Leon, and I'm running for the position of library trustee. My background includes an associate degree in business and a bachelor of science degree in behavioral science. I was a paralegal for 15 years and on-site engineering assistant for 20 years. And I currently work part-time for Hallmark. My husband and I live in Brentwood, moved here in 1974. I got 1 year up on Mark. I'm 50 years. When we moved here, our son was 5 years old and in public kindergarten in New Jersey. New Hampshire did not have kindergarten. I now had a child that couldn't go to school. I was pretty distressed. And when I discovered at that time the Mary E. Bartlett Library, I walked there, and Flo Corbett, who was then the librarian, she helped me with everything. Story hours and all the things that for the kids. But most of all, she showed me how to go in New Hampshire, and particularly Brentwood. Coming out of metropolitan area New York, it was a very different life. It was the first visit that I had to that library, I fell in love with this town. I fell in love with the library. And I was very involved from that time forward. My children attended Story Hour and many library activities. And I was very active in the Friends back then. And I recall presiding serving as president for a while. As they say, life happens. Excuse me. For years, I was not active in the library due to my careers and other family obligations. I rediscovered the amazing library while serving on the Brentwood Budget Committee. I learned about the wonderful things the library was doing, and I rejoined the Friends a couple of years ago, and I have enjoyed regularly attending the Friends and trustee meetings. I really like going back to doing things for them, with them. The activities, I've been involved with doing the bookstore and helping with the plant sale. But my fun thing of all, I had such a good time the last 2 years. They have the Friends do a Halloween pumpkin decorating party. And I had the fun of going out and finding and locating and bringing home 100 pumpkins to eat for each event. I had such a good time. If I am elected, I'd like to work on the library to build daytime senior programs and activities. And with my knowledge and experience from engineering, I would also like to, I think that I would be a great asset to help out with the planning and construction of a safe stairway and elevator from the main lobby to the basement event room. It's something that really badly needs, and I think I would be a huge help in that. I would be very honored to have your vote, and I very much want to do this. I think I can be an asset to that library, and that this town, it's a great thing that we have that library, and it should continue. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate having the opportunity to speak with you all. My name is Jeff Donald, and I'm running for library trustee, running for one of the 2 open spots. My wife and I moved to Brentwood in 2011, and we are the owners of Stout Oak Farm. I have a Master of Public Administration from UNH, and I work in nonprofit management. I'm a longtime library patron, and I'm thankful for the value that the Mary E. Bartlett Library brings to this town. It's a valuable resource, and I think the library and staff have been doing a great job, and want to make sure we keep them on even keel and going forward strongly. My goal as a trustee is to ensure that the library and staff are able to continue offering their high-quality, engaging, and informative materials and activities to the people of Brentwood. I look forward to supporting the library and its mission to serve the community, and I'm asking for your vote as a library trustee. Thank you for your consideration.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Tom Walker. I'm running for re-election. I've been on the library trustee board for 3 years now. It's been a great time. I really like the library. My family moved to Brentwood 17 years ago. We moved here for the school system specifically. One of the first things we did was get library cards when kids grew up in the children's room. It's really been great. My oldest has graduated already from Exeter High School. I have a sophomore and a junior still there. Brentwood's been a wonderful place to raise our family. I personally grew up in Londonderry, New Hampshire, so I'm a lifelong New Hampshire resident. I graduated from UNH with a business degree. I've been a lifelong reader. I started reading, and going to my town library. And I haven't stopped. I've been reading 1 or 2 books a week since then. I think my biggest, sorry, I lost my place. As you can tell, I'm a reluctant public speaker. I love that libraries are for everyone, regardless of background or where they came from. All are free to find the information and ideas to make their own decisions about things at a library. I'd like to state for the record that I'm against book bans. No one group should be able to tell others that they cannot have access to information. This is a First Amendment issue, and I feel very strongly about it. I'm proud of being able to, as a trustee, work to defend that right. I think that early childhood literacy and adult lifelong learning build strong communities. Libraries are central to that goal. I appreciate your vote for library trustee on March 12th. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Jillian Benedict, and I'm running for cemetery trustee. My family has lived in town for, I don't know, since the 50s. I started working at the town office a couple of years ago, and since then, Joyce has talked me into attending some of her cemetery meetings. It's been very interesting. I love learning about local history, so I'm excited to work with Joyce and given the opportunity and see what I can do.
Before we go on to the school positions, since we have some extra time, I have a Brentwood story for you. I have a Brentwood story, and I was particularly reminded of it by the three who just spoke related to the library. A number of years ago, when Marilyn Moorhead was the library director, and Marilyn was determined by the State Library Association to be the top library director of our size library in New Hampshire. And I think it was a year later that it was determined that our library was the top one in New Hampshire for our size. Anyway, Marilyn called me, and she said, Dick, are you missing a book? And I said, well, I don't think so. I'm not aware of any that I might be missing or that I've got here that I shouldn't have here. And she said, well, let me tell you a story. She said, I got a phone call from the library in Maui, Hawaii. And a guy was out riding his bicycle along the highway, and he saw a small knapsack over on the dirt road. And he stopped and he looked inside it, and it was beaten up. And the only thing that was in it was a library book. So he thought, well, okay. So he brought it to us. Well, it was a Brentwood library book. And I'm calling to see if it's yours. So she looked up and she found out that it was mine. Okay? So he said, well, I'll send it to you. And he did. And she returned to him by sending 4 jars of homemade jam, 2 for him and 2 for the guy that found the book. And the reality was that Ann and I were at an art museum in Maui that had a small luncheon place. And one of us, I don't know which one of us, had the knapsack with the library book and we hung it up on a hook and totally forgot about it forever. And somebody found it and they said, aha! But they didn't say aha when they looked in and all they found was the library book, so they threw it off on the side of the road. And that's the story. Now the next person.
What was the fine? Dick, you gotta tell us what the book was.
What was the fine? I have no idea. I have no clue what it was. It was a good story. You're next.
Dick, before we go on, can I just read Linda's? Yeah. So, do you mind waiting just one moment? We have Linda McDonald's statement.
Go for it.
So, I'm sorry.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
I apologize for interrupting. And I just want to let you know that in addition to Marilyn Moorhead and the library being chosen by the state, our state also nominated, or not nominated, but chose Liz McConnell, our current trustee chair, to be the library trustee of the year this year. So we have earned 3 honors at our lovely library, and that is thanks to you as a community for supporting our great space.
Thank you.
So I do have Linda McDonald's statement. It says, hello Brentwood neighbors. My name is Linda Gray McDonald. Not really, but hers is. I am one of your 3 supervisors of the checklist in Brentwood and have been serving in this role since 2017. I am seeking re-election for another 6-year term. What is the job? New Hampshire statutes provide for 3 election officers in each town to oversee the registration of new voters. These officers are also responsible for maintaining and correcting the existing checklist of voters used to verify eligible voters at each election. This role requires an understanding of New Hampshire law, working with the Secretary of State when clarification is needed or issues arrive during elections, and a commitment to training on New Hampshire election technology, as well as working before, during, and after each federal, state, and local election to ensure voter records are properly recorded so that our elections are verifiable and valid. My professional background: I have a law degree from Boston University, practiced law for approximately 10 years in Connecticut before moving to an in-house legal management position in the insurance financial markets industry, which brought my family to Brentwood almost 20 years ago. I am experienced in assessing statutes and other legal authority in order to implement and ensure neutral and valid procedures. I am proud of the contributions I have made to the Brentwood election processes so far. As one example, I was able to recommend improvements to our process for voting by our senior residents at the Rockingham County Assisted Living and LTC community to ensure that each qualified resident there can continue to exercise their important right of citizenship. I am a strong advocate for election integrity and remain committed to ensuring the integrity of our Brentwood elections and the right of every qualified voter to participate in choosing their representatives. I would be honored for your support on March 12th so that I can continue to contribute in this way to the success of this great town. Thank you for allowing me to jump in, Doug.
Hi, everybody. Doug Kelly. I'm the unopposed candidate for school moderator. This year, March 6th will be my 19th year moderating the school district meeting. It's been a hard-fought job all along. Nobody's ever gone against me. But I'm nasty, I'm good. So, what, I'm only 60. Why do you do this? It's an unsupervised thing to me. I get out of the house. So anyway, it actually has been a real pleasure on the side. I've enjoyed it immensely. I consider it to be an honor to be a moderator of the meeting in Brentwood. That's it. That's the whole spiel.
No, I think that Jim Sullivan is not here, so let's go on to Heather.
Hello. For those of you that may not know me or haven't seen me every year, I'm Heather Haggett. I've been the assistant clerk in the town clerk office with Daphne since March of 2022. I have lived in Brentwood for 12 years. My husband Chris and I have a 10-year-old, so the fourth grader at Swayze Central School. My work history has always been a career basis of customer service and people. Those are my two main focuses in life. My experience gained has been through several different settings in general office, corporate finance, healthcare with both patient and non-patient care roles, and now my municipality experience. My characteristics, my work ethic: I'm personable, hardworking, organized, task-driven with attention to detail, and I work well independently and as part of a team. Why I'm running for school clerk? New experience, something that I would gain or learn from. I have a connection to the town office, therefore I have exposure, experience for the role, not only from my role in the clerk's office, but also personally by attending the meetings annually at the school and town meetings, but that's different. Having the prior knowledge and the experience in this role is beneficial to the town, as it would be a smooth transition to fill the role. The team of residents holding positions in the town, as most of the candidates have been up here for a while, have multiple roles within the town, so I'm looking to be part of that team and not just an employee. Daphne, the current town school clerk. Her term is up. She suggested strongly that so therefore, I appreciate your vote on March 12th for being school clerk, and good luck to my fellow candidates and your future roles as well.
I have Jim Sullivan state when there's a break.
Hi, everybody. My name is Megan Fitzgerald, and I'm running for one of two open spots in the Swayze School Board. My family moved to Brentwood 5 years ago, which is crazy to think. The time has flown by. We have two kids who are in Swayze right now. They're in 3rd grade and 5th grade, which is also crazy to think. And I have been on the school board for these past 3 years. I have learned more in those 3 years than I ever thought possible. This job is much different than what I thought it would be, and it's so much fun to get to see Swayze School from a new perspective and kind of see that back end of it. Anyone who's been lucky enough to be at Swayze, have a kid at Swayze, knows that there's magic there. And the only reason I am not, this is not my thing, the reason that I'm here is because I really want to keep that magic at Swayze. It's such a special place. Every kid there knows that they matter, that they can do anything that they set their mind to. And that's why I'm here tonight. Professionally, I am a fundraiser. I work for the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Nashua. I have a Master's of Public Administration, and I've coached all the things through Brentwood Rec. Exeter soccer, I just coached basketball. I've never played basketball, that was interesting. So in my life, through volunteer opportunities, through my job, I'm really dedicated to kids in our community, all kids, not just my own or our own. My view is that we're doing all this for the kids who are children now. They are the future of our community. So I don't really look at our Swayze students like kindergarten to 5th graders. I really look at them as we're developing community members that we want to live with in the future. As a school board member, I have worked with Melissa and Allison to negotiate the teacher contract. That was a whole thing. And that was the first time where I was like, this job is really hard. That was a really hard process. I learned a lot from both of them. Worked with a school board member to renegotiate the para contract and took a more active role on that. Again, it's just so much learning. And what I didn't anticipate when I took the job was how much every decision really weighs on you. Balancing student-centered decision-making with the impact on the tax burden on all community members. Something every single vote you really think about. Do our students need this? Can we use data? Can we use information that we have? And what does that mean for the people who live in our community without children, and the impact on that? All of the decisions that I'm just trying to make are student-centered. How can we get kids to be, yes, great elementary school students, but really those positive community members in the future? There's also a lot of decisions based on keeping a great working environment to retain the staff who make Swayze what it is. So I would really appreciate your vote. I love this job. Would love to be here for another 3 years, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Evening, everyone. What would a portrait of a Swayze graduate student look like? Have you ever thought about that? Can you picture it? They started low, 4 or 5 years old, graduate. I've been pondering this question for some time now, since I moved to Brentwood about 4 years ago. Will they still be curious and eager to learn when they graduate? Will they be able to stay engaged in constantly changing environment or world? Will they be an active participant in life? Will there be an opportunity for them to live in Brentwood when they graduate? Hello, my name is Mark Hannick, and I'm running for the school board position at Swayze. As a teacher for almost 30 years and a parent of 2 Swayze students, I'm committed to making sure that not only my students, but every student get a phenomenal education. I want everyone in the school district to have an opportunity to excel. Currently, there are approximately 289 students in Swayze, with about 25 teachers, plus or minus for those fact checkers. Quick math will tell you that's approximately a 12-to-1 ratio. Those numbers are extremely desirable. Wouldn't you agree? Yet out of 211 elementary schools in New Hampshire, we are ranked number 41. How would it feel if we were ranked in the top 10? Would that be something to smile about? Be proud about? Our math proficiency level is at 52%. While reading is about 72%, again, plus or minus 2% for those fact checkers. These numbers have not really changed over the last few years. And if we go back prior to the pandemic, they are stagnant, if not went down. Clearly, there's room for improvement. So the question begs to be asked, why have these numbers not really moved? Rather than blame someone or something, I'd rather ask what tools do the teachers and administration need at Swayze to improve these results? Looking from the outside, one who has never been to Brentwood would say that we are following the status quo. Clearly, there's more to the picture than the numbers. I would never allow my kids to define themselves by a number, but rather use that number as a metric to build off of, and then reflect on ways to improve. And I would expect no different from a Swayze school board member. So when I thought of this question pertaining to what tools do the teachers and administrators need, it's because between my wife and I, we have over 45 years of teaching experience in physics, chemistry, and math at all various levels. I know what it takes to get a student to be successful in these classes. And I know it starts when they're young. And if you don't know, both of my kids have the 1,000 books read before kindergarten at the library. If our test results are not improving, the question begs to be asked, where is our tax-paying money going? The rate in which our taxes have been going up every year is not reflected to our overall performance as a school. And yes, I understand my tax dollars do not solely go to the school. Let's face it, families do not move to Brentwood for the palm trees. They come here for an excellent education and a specific quality of life. When I think of what it looks like to create a successful child, I think resilience, critical thinking skills, communication skills, and the ability to decipher the truth of inaccurate information. And the list goes on. Think about this. When our kids graduate from high school, will they be able to return to Brentwood? With AI and the current state of the economy and the exponential growing deficit, and what we refer to as, used to refer to as American dream, are we really setting up our kids for success? Kids are our biggest assets. Will our graduating students from Swayze be able to compete at a global level? I know that sounds ridiculous, but the way the world is changing so fast, we really have to be competitive at this level. We can do this if we all join together. I believe an excellent education experience in obtaining, with community involvement, honest and open communication about challenges, transparent and fiscal responsible leadership. So I had to rush here. I'm getting pushed off here. My name is Mark Hannick, and I look forward to you voting for.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Abair, and if you're looking at your sheet and the pronunciation isn't matching the spelling, I'll tell you a story from when I was teaching down in Mississippi. I put on the chalkboard on the first day for my students, big capital letter A-B-E-A-R. And apparently my students took this literally because I started getting letters back from parents saying, "Dear Mr. A-Bear, A-Bear." And so, but it caught on, it worked, pronunciation stuff. Dick started off tonight by saying concisely, 35 times, and then started talking about snowing at 7 o'clock, and so I guess it's 7 o'clock. So I'll aim to be concise here. A little bit about me. I'm a father of 2 young children who I couldn't be happier to say are soon-to-be Swayze scholars. The word magical was used earlier, and that just makes me so happy as an educator and as a parent that my students, my children are going to be students of Swayze School. As a professional, I'm an educator by trade. So I started my career off in the classroom teaching in critical needs school districts in the Mississippi Delta. My school was 100% free and reduced lunch. And I learned very quickly, number one, teaching is hard, but also provided the right supports for each student, every student can succeed. And I'm still a believer in that today. I was invited by my program after 2 years of service to come back and train incoming first-year teachers, and then joined an innovative school in Minneapolis, Minnesota, that was providing pathways for students to college and career readiness. Seeing this progress at a classroom level and a school level inspired me to want to impact change at a national level. So over the last 10 years, I've launched and scaled a tutoring organization that went from 0 to now partnering with 500 school districts across the country, from East Coast to West Coast, and we've served over 2 million students with high-impact tutoring that's accelerated learning outcomes. I am really happy that I'm at a point in my life and my career where I'm really laser focused on impacting change at a local level. I'm happy to be calling Brentwood home. If elected for school board, number one, I would support all of the amazing work being done by the teachers and school leaders at Swayze School. That's where the magic happens, in the classroom. The teachers are the ones who make the magic happen, and I'll be their number one champion and number one supporter for high quality instruction and continuing the impressive academic outcomes that have been achieved at Swayze School, and pairing that with really holistic education. Looking at each student as a future citizen, focused on whole child education, social emotional learning. Kindness is a word that comes to mind as an educator and as a parent. I will also bring, you can probably tell I'm very passionate about all this school stuff, so I'll bring my passion, my energy to the school board. And communication. Education is a people business, and so communicate, communicate, communicate. Teachers unions, SAU board, and the school leadership team, and the teachers, and the community. I think the number one characteristic of successful school districts that I've seen from forming deep relationships with some of the best superintendents across the country has been co-creating the school with the community. Communities have so many assets that can be called on in the school environment, and so my number one focus will be harnessing that and co-creating a successful school environment with the community. I would be really honored if you all were to give me my support. So thank you so much.
Becky, did you have something?
I have Jay Sullivan's
Oh, good.
statement.
Come on up here. Good.
I'm not Jane Sullivan. I was a person who was asked to collect the candidate statements for all the candidates. And good news is 21 people did reply, and they will be appearing in the next issue of the Brentwood newsletter. So this is what James has sent. My name is James Sullivan III. I am announcing my re-election campaign for the Brentwood School Treasurer position in the upcoming town elections. Over the past 3 years, I've had the privilege of serving as your current treasurer, auditing the financial activity of the district accountants to guarantee accuracy and compliance. My professional background in finance includes my role as the finance and operations manager at a New Hampshire-based tech startup, as well as accounting and consulting positions in real estate, defense, and healthcare. In May, I am set to complete my degree in finance from the University of New Hampshire, further bolstering my academic foundation in this field and ability to give back to this lovely town. If re-elected, I will continue to approach the role of Brentwood School Treasurer with the same rigor and care. Not too long ago, I was a student at Swayze. It has been a unique pleasure to contribute to and participate in its continued success. Regards, James Sullivan III.
Thank you, Becky. And thank you. All of the candidates for what you shared with us, for your conciseness. We are way ahead of the game time-wise, which means that I can tell one more library story. I got a good one for you. And one or two of you have heard it before, but when I was 12 years old in Middleborough, Massachusetts, which is down near Plymouth, our library in town had a summer contest, and it was put on by the library director, a very scary woman named Murdy. First name was Bertie. But she was a very good librarian and a very good person. And Bertie wanted to do something that would involve the kids in town. Again, I was 12 years old. So she put butcher block paper on the wall, almost the length of that wall right there. And then she cut out little paper sailboats and put them at one end. And any of us that wanted to be in the contest could have our name on the sailboat. And the contest was that for every 5 books that we read and wrote one-page reports on, our sailboat would be moved ahead. Well, I decided I was going to win that contest. And for good or for bad, I stayed indoors the entire summer, reading books, writing reports, and having my little sailboat move along like that. Well, I did win the contest, and that meant that my parents and I were to be honored by Bertie and her 2 associates in the upstairs room of the library. Nobody goes to the upstairs room of the library, but we went up there. And there was a huge desk, and she was in the middle, and she was flanked on either side. And I didn't have a clue what the prize was going to be. You know what it was? It was a damn book. The story of Old Ironside, which I still have at home. And I didn't go back to that library for about 6 months. But nevertheless, it hooked me. And it has hooked me for the rest of my life. I am a big library proponent. Okay, we are now at the point where you have questions that you want to ask any of the candidates. If you would come to the mic with your question, and then they'll come up to this mic and respond to you. And we'll, I've got 7 o'clock now, and we'll go, I think we'll go until 7:30 unless we run out of time, run out of questions before that. But we'll go till 7, am I right? Yes, yes I am. There are times I cannot read my watch. It's 7:20 now? 7:12, okay, now I see it. Okay. Anyway, who would like to start it? What question do you have for anybody out there? Yes? No?
I always have a question. Hi, candidates, thank you. I have a loud voice, you don't need to worry.
Who would you like to speak to?
So, particularly to Kat, I think. So, having been on numerous committees, and my husband was a select board, and I was on the budget committee, I've never seen you. So, have you been to a budget committee meeting? Did you go to the deliberative session for the co-op?
No, not yet.
Okay,
So-
is that your question?
So my
Liz?
question is, yeah,
Okay.
particularly to people like, she's one of the ones I've never seen.
Yeah, would you like to come up to the mic?
Yeah, mainly just because I know that my back's going to explode. Yeah, I have not. Yeah, the decision to run was a little bit last minute. I was thinking of taking some more time to think on it and get involved in the community a bit more. But there was an open seat and 3-year terms, and who knows what life will look like 3 years from now. So I'm really excited to use this as an opportunity to get more involved and to learn more about the community and kind of learn as I go. Yeah. Is there any follow-up?
No, I just have the same question for Doug.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to stand up. You're welcome. Thank you.
It would be a planning board meeting, not a.
Yeah, right, yeah, so, yeah, thank you for the question, and yeah, as I alluded to it in my remarks, I recognize that I'm a new face to a lot of folks. I haven't been as involved in the town over the past few years as I would have liked, but I feel like I'm at a point in my life now where I'm much more able to get involved, and so that's why I want to serve. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Doug. Yes, Rob?
Hi, Rob Wolfchuck. For Kristen, I
think you hit on a topic that a lot of us are concerned about, is how do we balance growth and what sort of growth with the impact on taxes. Could you just talk about how you see that resolving itself, or what's your vision for the sort of ordinances that would help us? Thank you.
Sure. So we do have a grant right now to help us work through that question and come up with some ideas, and the survey as well. And again, everybody, please fill it out. I don't know how it's going to be resolved. I was actually looking today at some trends nationally, and housing is like the #1 issue that all local governments are dealing with right now. There aren't any easy answers. We don't have water or sewer, so some of the solutions that you might see in the paper in other communities probably aren't going to work in Brentwood. I think that one of the things that we've been talking about is maybe tweaking, I don't know what that might look like, but the ADU ordinance. But even that, we've had it for a long time, not that many.
What is that?
Oh, sorry,
What's
accessory
the
dwelling
ordinance?
unit.
Sorry?
Accessory dwelling unit.
So that would be like an in-law apartment
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
a garage that, God forbid, it's not attached to the house.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Yes,
that's a great,
exactly.
great place for it.
Yeah. On the
Located
survey.
there.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that we want to look at our multifamily district, because we sat down last year and looked at the maps and looked at our ordinance, and there's one piece of property that actually qualified. So we need to do something there. We're bound by law in New Hampshire, and it's a little fuzzy, but we have to provide a reasonable opportunity for a developer to come and build something that's accessible for working people, and they have all, definitions for that. But so that's something, we need to improve what we're doing right now.
Thank you. Yes, Bill.
Hi, Bill Dunham from Block Drive. I have a question for all three of the school board candidates. And I'd like to preface the question with a little bit of a foundation. More than a year ago, I noticed in the school gymnasium, there was a poster of Megan Rapinoe. And we're now in Black History Month, and I noticed that there is an array of pictures celebrating various black athletes, one of whom is Colin Kaepernick. Now, between Megan Rapinoe and Colin Kaepernick, these are two individuals who kneel for the American flag, they kneel for the national anthem, they have spit in the face of America while they make millions off of America and American industry. At the same time, I have not noticed any poster for somebody like Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines is a great Olympic swimmer who is now having to devote her time nationally to fighting against male athletes joining in female sports. And it's almost as if Riley Gaines is on her own in this fight. And for Black History Month, I did not notice that there was any picture or biography for somebody like George Foreman. George Foreman, upon winning the Olympics, made a special point of getting back into the boxing ring with the American flag and waving it for everybody to see. And about 2 years ago, in October, when I looked out at the sign in front of the Swayze School, I noticed that it said Indigenous Peoples Day, but there was nothing about celebrate Columbus Day. Columbus Day is a federal holiday. Indigenous Peoples Day was not. So my question is, should the members of the members of the school board be a little bit more discerning and responsible for overseeing the kinds of things that children are witnessing on a day-to-day basis, I would hope that two individuals who are celebrated nationally and make their money while laughing in the face of the United States of America are not being emulated by the children who are learning at Swayze School. So I'd like to hear your opinion, all three.
Hello again, Mark Hannick. To be honest with you, Bill, I don't know who is responsible for putting those signs up, and I'd be more than happy to, if I was voted in, to look into that. But I agree with you. I think we should be very mindful of what our kids are sponges at this age. They see things and it becomes just factual for them. They cannot decipher right and wrong, in my personal opinion, at this young age. We have to be the role models for them. Again, I didn't recall seeing that image or those pictures in there. I would be more than happy to look for you to see them. But no, I support you in that. And I think, I don't know who makes those or who puts those bulletins up or those pictures up, but I think there needs to be a conversation about it.
So to answer, I think the question at the end, the role of the school board is to implement policy and oversee the budget, not to dictate what happens on a micro level within the school. So as a school board member, we're reviewing policies, making sure they meet their legal requirements of the state. We're looking at the budget, but I don't believe it's the right of any of a school board, especially a school board member, we work as a board together, to go into the school and say, question individual posters or pictures that are on the wall.
Whose right do you think it is then?
I think it's the administration, which the school board oversees. I do think we have a role in that. I would say at Swayze, there are a lot of different people celebrated. I know just as a parent, those are two people who are on the wall. My family is a military family. My husband is a retired pararescueman. He was in the military for 8 years. And we look at those and we just have a different perspective on citizenship, and there's all different types of active citizenship, so I'll say that. An interesting project that the 5th grade's doing right now is they're looking at Christopher Columbus and they're writing an opinion article, and what they're doing are taking positive articles on Christopher Columbus, negative articles, and really learning how to look at information and not just say this person is all bad, this person is all good, but learning how to say this person is really good. Thomas Jefferson, we would not be here without him. I'm a Hamilton nerd. I could sing the whole musical. But he also owned slaves and did a lot of bad. So people don't have to be all good or all bad. I think that's a really important thing to teach our kids.
Yeah, thank you, Bill, for the opinion and question as well. I'm a big believer that school is a beacon of community, and I'm proud to consider myself part of a community that celebrates diversity, inclusion, and equity. I'm also a believer that the role of education is to promote skills in children, in youth, including critical thinking and problem solving. It's not to tell students what's right or wrong or what's good or bad. I believe a lot of that responsibility does stem from the household, and it's the role of education to expose students to a diversity of thoughts and opinions and experiences. When I was teaching in Mississippi, on any given day, I was one of 3 white people in the building, in the entire school building. And for me personally, that challenged me in a way that allowed me to, I think, improve myself as a person, learn a lot about who I am and who others are through different perspectives and through diversity of thought. And again, I'm not going to dictate what is taught in school or not. I don't think that's the role of school board, but I am going to be a champion of fostering an environment that promotes critical thinking. Thank you.
All right. Couple of questions. First from Melissa. Are you going to be the storyteller that Dick has been for all of these years?
Heck no. My stories aren't nearly as good.
Okay, good to know. My next question is for the two people who are running for select board.
There was three.
Well, you're already on. I know where you stand on this particular question. So, the select board has taken action to minimize the input from residents. They accept commentary at the beginning of their meetings, do not necessarily respond to the questions that residents may ask at that time, and do not allow residents to provide input throughout the meeting on various topics as they're being discussed. So I would like to know from Doug and Letty where you would stand on that, if that is a thing you would support, or if you would be more in favor of letting the residents talk to you.
So I've been at select board meetings where things got a little out of hand. So I think the way that they're currently doing things is in an effort to have things a little more in order. I do think that having more opportunity during the meeting for residents to chime in would be helpful, while still remaining civil. Because it is a meeting, it is a select board meeting. It is not required that they get a chance for the public to speak, but they're also there to serve the citizens of Brentwood. So I think if there's a way that they can figure out how to allow for that while without derailing the meeting completely, I think that would be a good thing.
Well, interestingly enough, I've thought about this, and attending at select board meetings, I found it a little frustrating at first. I agree with Letty, because there's, I'm sure we're all aware of what has transpired at the select board meetings, and this is just to regain some control and stability, as Dean had mentioned in the beginning. The frustrating part I have with it is it's at the beginning of the meeting, and you're welcome to present your questions before the information has been given to you. I find that difficult, and I think people find that very frustrating. I tend to process what's being said to me. So getting to my point is, if I have the opportunity to be a select board member, and even if I don't, I'm giving away something, but I'm going to mention that at the end of the meetings, that maybe we should have the opportunity, maybe given 3 minutes for anybody who would like to speak and say their part based on what has been said to them at that time. And it can be quick. A lot of us can go on and on, I myself. But I think it's important because then you feel involved. But it is not a requirement of the select board to have people interject their thoughts. So procedural-wise, they are doing a very good job with it. Although I think there's always room for improvement. And that would be my thought.
Luckily, you get an answer from me anyway. No, look, I actually empathize with this, and I appreciate where you're coming from. We have, every year, we elect a new chair. That chair can set the way that the meetings go forward. I've personally been on the board for 3 years. I've been physically threatened. I've been verbally threatened on multiple occasions during those meetings. It's uncomfortable, and it has been, and I have not been, there has been no threats that I can recall from the past year since we started this policy. I also do want to point out that on a very regular basis, I do see hands in the crowd, and I do ask if we can allow for people to speak during when I do see those hands. So I want to point out, this is not a, like, you will speak only at the beginning of the meeting, and that is the only, like, there are no exceptions, like, that, you know, I'm regularly attuned to if there are people that want to speak up, so, that is just the reality of how the meetings do function. Thank you.
I understand the need for managing the time and everything, but I would also like to remind everyone who's an elected official that you are there to represent us and listen to us, not just to do whatever it is you want to do. So the time should be made to hear what the residents have to say and take their input.
Somebody else? Yes.
Hi, I'm Laura Braverman. I live in Three Ponds, and I've been in Brentwood for about a year. And I have a question for all of the planning board candidates. Is where do you see Brentwood 10 years from now, or where would you like to see Brentwood 10 years from now, and what would you do to advance towards that?
Welcome to Brentwood. When I grew up in Brentwood, there was a total population of about maybe 1,700 people, and we've over doubled in size, you know? And I do think there's a spot in Brentwood for everybody. We have several 55 and older communities, and I think they're wonderful community members, and they're wonderful places to live, because I go trick-or-treating, I bring my grandkids. Full-size candy bars at Three Ponds.
We got nobody this year. We got nobody this year.
Yeah, we did though.
You ain't go all the way in the back there.
Well, so drop that. When the new part opens up.
We all had lights on.
We'll be seeing you next year.
Yeah, you're going to regret saying that. Katie, make a note.
Oh, that's great.
There's a spot for Brentwood for everybody, right? We can work on the multifamily district. I'm very eager to do that, to get into those ordinances. Because I think they are abhorrent the way they're written right now, and we can do some work there. We can make a spot for everybody. With new ordinances, we should open them up to the residential district unilaterally. You know, we can do some work with the ADUs. I'll get a little personal on that. We could open it up to existing structures that are separate from the house. I think that's a good place to start. That's sort of a middle ground in between allowing a separate ADU, just to allow them in existing structures like a garage. That doesn't disturb your neighborhood. It doesn't, I would say, detract from what you consider rural character as a better community, right? I think we can do that. I think there's a place for everybody in Brentwood, right? But you are at the mercy of contractors, of applicants. The job of the planning board is not to be a roadblock to applicants. We're not supposed to be a barrier. We're supposed to work with them. We're supposed to work with you, the public, number one. Give you ordinances that you agree with, then you vote on them. And then I am bound to them. I don't interject my personal opinion upon them. And that's not my job. That's not what I do. You approve those ordinances, I'm just a moderator of those ordinances. In a perfect world, the planning board would not only work with you, the people, it works with applicants too. We're not supposed to be a barrier to them. We're supposed to work with them as well as you. And it's important that you recognize that A, they're your ordinances. They're not the planning board's, they're yours. You voted for them. I have my say too, but my personal opinion of them does not matter. They're your ordinances, and I just enact them. That's all that I do. So I would implore every resident here, pay attention to the amendments, the zoning amendments. Learn what they are. Read them. Understand them. Go to the planning board office. All planning board members, all of them, their doors are open for you to go in and ask about these amendments. Get an education on them. Vote accordingly. Understand them and vote accordingly. Because once they're voted in, I'm bound to them. They're your rules, I just follow them. Thank you.
Doug?
Thanks so much for the question. So I agree with a lot of what Mark said, particularly around ADUs. As a graduate student who's a little bit strapped for monetary resources, I'll put it that way, I think that expanding opportunities for affordable living situations in a way that as Mark said, doesn't interfere with the neighborhood or town's rural character. One thing I do want to add to that is something I alluded to a little bit when I was speaking earlier, was really prioritizing smart business development, particularly along 125, in ways that don't interfere with the character of the town. But I think that in 10 years from now, we are able to bring more businesses into Brentwood. It not only would benefit our economy, but also would improve quality of life for folks in the town. And so I think that's something that would benefit everybody and keep the character of Brentwood that we all support.
My oldest has already told me that I'll be living in an ADU out back, which is very house. But I think in 10 years, we'd like to continue to see the character of the community, this rural character. I think a lot of that is visual. And we've been doing things to work with applicants to make sure that whatever it is that they're building fits in with the character of the community. Some of the same things these guys have been saying about development along 125, again, that fits with the scale of the community. The planning board actually has done a couple things around safety on 125 and expressing our concerns about that. So that's hopefully in 10 years we'll have a safer situation along 125. So there's going to be growth. I often say to people, if you drive around town and you see a piece of property and it's not in some sort of protected easement, it could be developed. And the question is, what is that going to look like? But I think there's a way to do it. Like Mark said, there's a way to welcome new people in the community, but not change the character of the community in any sort of extreme way.
I have a question for anybody. A few years ago, and I don't think it was too many, we had some ugly polarization going on in Brentwood. It was ugly. And various people were at each other's throats. And lots of people were unhappy about it. And then it seemed to me that things got better. I think things are better now than they were. Well, how do I know? So I'd be interested if anybody has any observations on that. I spoke at the end of a town meeting a few years ago. I felt somebody need to be, I'm not sure what the word is, a moral stater or something. I didn't see the select board doing that. And so I complimented the town at that time on the fact that I thought that we had come through from ugliness to a much better place. And I think that we're still in that much better place. But again, I'd be very interested if anybody's got anything that they want to say about that.
Can I say something?
Yes.
So when I ran for the school board 3 years ago, that is the reason why I was running. We had this great little school, and there was so much angst in the community, and I just don't want the school to get caught in that. And something that I've learned as a school board member is that people have really high emotions about things they care about. And so these really high emotions, even if you don't agree with them, we see different have different opinions on Megan Rapinoe's poster in Swayze. You're saying that, asking that question because you really care about Swayze students. Liz, I'm going to pick on you because I don't think you'll mind, but when you're at the joint board meetings asking about the SAU budget, it's because you care about the taxpayers, everyone in this room. So if you see underneath the high emotions and you really listen to what people's intentions are, that's been something that I have absolutely loved about this role, is being able to take what people are saying and take the emotion out and see what's underneath. Even if our opinions are different, we probably have the best interests of the town. I think everybody up here is running because they love the town, and this is not a lot of Brentwood's population. Everybody that's here is here because they love the town. So that's kind of my take.
Well, thank you.
I think one of the things that shows that the town has come a long way and people are more interested in getting together and getting along is the fact that we have so many candidates. In years past, people walked onto committees, there were people that were interested in helping the school board, helping the library, doing all of those kinds of things, and now we have people running for just about every office in town, and I think that means that they feel like they have something to give to the town, something positive. They want to work to make the town a better place to live, and that's thanks to all of these candidates here.
Thank you. The next, yes, go ahead. Yes, please do.
I'm a resident, I've lived here almost 30 years, didn't used to go to select board meetings, didn't used to be involved in anything. Over 2 or 3 years ago, when we had all the divisions that Dick was talking about in town, I started hearing things that were really, to be honest with all of you, really pissing me off. There were a lot of people saying awful, evil things to each other, and there were people laughing about it, and so I went to a select board meeting. And in that meeting, we had a resident that stood up and said some really mean things, and so I got up and responded. I got laughed at on Facebook. I don't really give a shit. Anybody that knows me knows that. I think not having as much talking at the select board has done 2 different things. I think one of the things that's made it appear like there's still not a lot of differences in the town, but there are. The other thing is they had a program at the library that really helped me as an individual. I'm very strong-minded. If I think something, that's how I think, and I don't generally listen to anybody. I went to a Brave Angels meeting, and I learned something from there, and I've really, really tried hard to practice it. And there are women in here that I didn't talk to before, and I try to have a conversation with them. And what I found out, having those conversations, is they want the same things as I do. And I think that's what everybody here wants. We want a great community, it's a great place to live. They have different ways of getting there. There was a group of people that were very vocal, and everybody thought that it was that way. And there's another group of people that aren't as vocal. I was part of the not vocal ones. As you can probably tell my voice right now, I'm shaking. I don't like to get up and talk in front of people. But this is a fantastic community. And I think we all have to work together. Listen to what the other person has to say. You don't have to agree with them. Listen to them. And you'll find that there's somewhere something that you agree with, and you can build something from there.
Let's do this now. I think we're at a point where I've squeezed enough out of you in terms of how we are here as a total group. So let's shift gears. We'll certainly again thank all of those running for office. And now, if you'd like to talk one-on-one with each other, in small groups with each other, let's do that. And don't forget to fold up the chairs as you leave. Yes,
Were the co-op candidates invited to this?
Yes, there were no candidates from Brentwood.
No, I know, but we vote for all of the tenants candidates. So were they invited, like the Newfields rep and
We don't get their information every year. We don't get it. Thank you,
The same
everybody.
day, the same day.